Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Springport Area School District Reorganizational Meeting on December 4th. Please rise for the pledge.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Springport Board of School Directors believes the community has the right to bring before the board issues and concerns they may have about items on the agenda or about items in general which affect the district or their children. Because of this belief and philosophy, the board will schedule a time at the beginning and conclusion of every meeting to have an opportunity for community members to share their concerns with the board. At the start of the meeting, members from the public may comment on agenda items only. The school board will move through the meeting agenda, then at the end, when prompted, there will be a time for public comment. This meeting is being filmed to be broadcast on community cable channels and online. Individuals intending to make public comments should be aware that they are being filmed. Speakers will be asked to state their name and the area in which you reside before your comment.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Bickert, could we please have a roll call of the current holdover members that are present today?
Yes, we have Ms. Deerdorf, Ms. Hermans, Mr. Jackson, Ms. Weingarten, and Dr. Wright.
Thank you very much. And I have no announcements. Mr. Rizzo, you don't have any announcements? Nope. And so we're going to defer to Mr. Fitzgerald to go through the purpose of our meeting today.
Okay. Thank you and good evening. This evening is the reorganization of the Springport Board of School Directors. This is a requirement under the Public School Code of 1949 under Section 404 that requires all school districts of the second, third, and fourth class to reorganize itself and to select officers for the upcoming legislative year. Generally, under law, we are only required to appoint a president and vice president this evening. However, under policy and under practice within the district, there's also a number of other appointments that need to be made for the annual year.
Okay. Thank you very much. And so with that said, we'll move on to public to be heard on agenda items only. If there's anyone in the room that would like to speak, please approach the podium with your name, township of residence, as well as the agenda item for which you are speaking. Okay. Given that no one is approaching the podium, we'll now move on to section 5 of our agenda, which is nominations and election of a temporary board president. So at this time, I will open the floor for a nomination of temporary board president.
I nominate Erica Hermans for temporary board president.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, could I have a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Okay. With that said, all those in favor of Erica Hermans as temporary board president, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that motion carries. Thank you very much. And we'll move on to section 6, which is the swearing in of newly elected board members administered by the Honorable Judge Richard H. Welsh.
Okay, good evening, everyone. If Ms. Goldsmith could please rise. Raise your, actually should, there we go. Okay. Please repeat after me. I, Heidi Goldsmith, do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Congratulations. Mrs. Westwood? Please repeat after me. I, Teresa Westwood,
I, Teresa Westwood,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations. Dr. Sharma? Okay, you'll raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Dr. Sagar Sharma,
I, Dr. Sagar Sharma,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
the Constitution of this Commonwealth.
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
I will discharge the duties of my office
Fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Dr. Wright?
Thank you, Judge. And as Mr. Lackey is unable to be with us tonight, very much was a difficult decision to him, but we hope that he recovers and feels better soon. With that said,
Correct.
Mr. Fitzgerald, we've had folks in the past who have not been present for reorg, and can you just share with the public how that will work?
Oh, absolutely, yes, that's not uncommon. What will need to occur is Mr. Lackey will need to be sworn in over the next 10 days, and then when we convene a regular meeting, it will be as if he was here because he was sworn in.
Thank you very much. Moving on, we're going to move into the swearing of the re-elected board member administered by the Honorable Judge Richard H. Welsh.
Please repeat after me. I, Dr. Margaret Wright,
I, Dr. Margaret Wright,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Hey. Yes, congratulations to all of our newly elected and re-elected board members. Moving on to Section 8, we're going to move on to the nomination and election for the office of board president. So at this time, I'll open the floor for nominations.
I'd like to nominate Erica Hermans for president.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, motion to close the nominations.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. With that said, all those in favor of Erica Hermans as board president, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries 8-0. Moving on to Section 9, the nomination and election for the office of board vice president. So at this time, I will open the floor for nominations.
I nominate Clinton Jackson.
Are there any other nominations for vice president? Okay, motion to close nominations.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor as Clinton L. Jackson as vice president, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries 8-0. Moving on to Section 10, the board president shall designate a member and an alternate to serve on the Montgomery County School Directors Legislative Committee. This committee is sponsored by the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit Board of Directors to provide a forum in which local directors can learn about legislative issues which can affect education in Montgomery County. Abby Deerdorf presently serves in this capacity, and Erica Hermans presently serves as an alternate. And as such, I would like to appoint Teresa Westwood to move forward in this capacity with Dr. Sagar Sharma as the alternate. Thank you. Moving on to Section 9, the board shall appoint a PSBA liaison to represent the Springford Area School District Abby Deardorff presently serves as a representative. So I will open the floor for nominations.
I nominate Heidi Goldsmith.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Okay. Could I have a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of Heidi Goldsmith to serve in the capacity of PSB liaison, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries 8-0. Moving on to section 12, the board shall appoint a representative to the Spring City American Legion. Previously, Dave Schaefer served as this representative. So at this time, I will open the floor for nominations. And actually, I would like to make a nomination. Even if board members are not present, we are able to appoint them or have them nominated for specific positions. I would actually like to take a little bit of a different approach with the Spring City American Legion, given as though Ms. Weingarten has showed so much enthusiasm for the Spring City Red Sox, correct? Spring City Red Sox. I actually would like to nominate co-liaisons. So I would like to suggest that we move forward with both Mrs. Weingarten and Mr. Lackey as a representative in Region 3 to Spring City to serve on the American Legion. Are there any other nominations? Okay. With that said, could I have a motion to close?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay. All those in favor of Mrs. Weingarten and Mr. Lackey serving as the representatives to the Spring City American Legion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries 8-0. Moving forward, we have the Western Montgomery County Career and Technical Center Joint Operating Committee members. Members of the Joint Operating Committee for the Area Career and Technical Schools serve 3-year terms. One term expires each year to assure continuity in the operation of the joint program. The most recent representatives and the date of expiration for their term are as follows. Ms. Wendy Earl, 2023, which was a 3-year term. Karen Weingarten, whose term expires in 2024. We have 1 year remaining on that. And then Mrs. Zazowski, whose term would have expired in 2025. So there are 2 remaining years on that. So we will be appointing 2 folks to the Western Montgomery County Career and Technical Center. And we will first start with the term that was previously held by Ms. Earl. So nominations for the Western Montgomery County Technical Center Joint Operating Committee member to fill the vacancy of the 3-year term, which occurs this year, namely held by Wendy Earl. So can I open the floor for nominations?
I nominate Heidi Goldsmith.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Can I have a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of Heidi Goldsmith for the 3-year term for the Western Montgomery County Career and Technology Center Joint Operating Committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries 8-0. So next we will nominate a board member for the remaining 2-year term that was previously held by outgoing board member Colleen Zazowski. Can I open the floor for nominations?
I would like to nominate Erica Hermans.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay, can I have a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of Erica Hermans continuing on with Mrs. Zazowski's remainder of her term, 2-year term for the Western Montgomery Career and Technology Center Joint Operating Committee, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries 8-0. Next on the agenda, we have board approval, which is needed for the attached list of work session and board meeting dates for 2024. You can see that on the back of your hard copy. Okay, so do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions and discussion?
Yes, I have a question or a discussion item. I proposed this last year, I believe, also about having our time of our meetings moved from 7:30 to 7 o'clock. So I think that it is worth having some input from our new board members and from the existing also, is to see if there's any, and also from administration, any other interest in having our board meetings starting at 7 as opposed to 7:30.
I think that I would support that. I think it carries a lot of weight. We sometimes, the meetings extend very long. So if we could start a little earlier, which would also impact exec sessions and other related items, but I would support Dr. Wright on that initiative of starting our board meetings at 7 o'clock.
I would also support starting at 7 o'clock, Dr. Wright.
Administration.
Administratively, we've talked and we support 7 o'clock.
Okay, and while I also support 7 o'clock, I do just want to make our new board members aware when we have discussed this, as Dr. Wright mentioned in the past. I think last year, kind of the reason why we had put a pause on it is that there was some concern around if there was a need for an exec session, which of course could happen at an end of the meeting just as well as it could happen before a meeting. That would mean that as opposed to coming in at 6:30, which we traditionally do for exec sessions, the ask would be generally, assuming that we needed an hour for you to come in at 6. So with that said, it sounds like that there is broad support for 7 o'clock. Do we have, do we need at least 5 at this point? I would say at least 5, or broad support for a change in start time? Yes, I do. Okay. Yes, 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 and yes. Okay. So with that said, we will move forward this year with board meetings and work sessions starting at 7 o'clock. Any other questions or discussion?
Yes. This past October, I noticed the community had to make the choice between our board meeting and the Halloween parade. So I don't know if I don't know the date of it, and I don't know if we can find out so that we don't have people missing the board meeting because their children are in the Halloween parade.
It is typically the Royersford Parade is the third Monday, which will always be a work session for us.
Yeah, that's all.
Is this your way of trying to get the board members in the parade also? It's starting early.
It is only December. No, we had a pretty empty house, and I'm okay with that too.
Is there Springford representation in the Royersford Halloween parade? Like, is there marching band? I'm just curious.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's a lot of kids.
Yeah, we have a lot of student participation in that, correct.
Okay.
High school marching band has done it in the past. We've had middle school performers as well.
So we could have it right now, since we don't know when that parade is, with the idea that going forward, we could be changing that, giving the community information in time. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we move forward with as is and then kind of play that by ear and making sure that we give the public enough notice if we are to change it towards October. Thank you for bringing that up, Mrs. Weingarten. Anything else? Any other questions or discussion?
There's one change that I just wanted to call out is like this past November, we only had one meeting. We're adding the second meeting back.
Correct, and that was per administration recommendation. As well as I think Mr. Jackson said something about that in the last meeting, but Bob, I'm sorry, Mr.
He
Rizzo.
did, and the reason why we had one this year was because of where the third and fourth fell and the break in between. There really wasn't an opportunity for us to get together and have a conversation after the work session, but before the voting meeting, so we decided to do one meeting in November. That is not the case this year because Thanksgiving falls on the 28th. Both of our meetings will be done prior to that.
So I just wanted to call that out because it makes total sense to me.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion with regards to the calendar? Okay, so all those in favor of approving the attached list of work session board meeting dates for 2024, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries 8-0. Moving on to section 15, the board approval is needed to authorize the signature of Erica Hermans as board president so that I can sign all documentation on behalf of the board. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second? Questions and discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries 8-0. And we will move on to board comment. And as usual, I would like to defer to the table before I make my own comment.
I have just a couple items. I would like to welcome Dr. Sharma, Ms. Westwood, and Ms. Goldsmith. And I would like to thank Dr. Wright for re-enlisting for another 4 years. Really appreciate your commitment, Dr. Wright, for coming back. And my best advice to all of you is just buckle up and have fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Is there any other board comment? Yes.
I
Mrs.
just
Weinberg.
wanted a quick also acknowledgement of welcoming you all to the board. It makes my heart really happy to see you here, and I really look forward to working together. It's been quite a journey, so as Clinton might say, giddy up.
No.
Any other questions or comment? Okay, and of course, I echo everything that both Mr. Jackson and Ms. Weingarten said. And then more specifically, I would like to welcome Mr. Jackson to officially, it feels like it's been how many years now, but officially to board leadership. So congratulations on your vice presidency, and I want to thank Dr. Wright. Although, you know, you will continue to be a leader on this board, I want to thank you formally for your formal leadership in the vice president as well as the president role over the last 2 years. Okay. All right, with that said, we'll move on to public to be heard. If there's anyone that would like to speak, please approach the podium with your name and township of residence.
My name is Dennis Reese. I'm from Upper Providence Township and also Spring City American Legion. During your appointments, I noted that you appointed 2 people. In the past, it's always been 1 person. We, since day one, we've allocated 1 seat to the school board, 1 seat to the American Legion, and the balance of the board at large. I don't know this for a fact, but I believe that our board is full at the moment, pending Dave Schaefer's replacement, whichever one we thought it would be. So I just want to make that point to you.
So thank you for bringing that to our attention, Mr. Reese. So if that is in fact the case, I'm going to say, Mr. Fitzgerald, how do you want to proceed?
Well, I don't think we're necessarily going to change the voting structure of your board. It sounds to me like it was our determination, the board's determination to have kind of co-chairs, and then there would be then 2 voting representatives, i.e. one will be there to vote, but there could be the other one there as a proxy. So I'm okay with how we've decided to do it, and there will only be 1 vote from Springport.
Well, the meeting is open to the public, so anyone can come to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Reese.
Hi, Steve Fry, Royersford. I'd like to bring up something for the new board to consider going forward. Just to give some background, so when it comes to EDI principles, not specifically this program here, but just generally speaking, EDI, DDI principles, it's generally accepted that disparities in outcomes relative to the population are the result of some type of injustice. Often it's framed as having to do with some type of systemic problem that results in that imbalance. When it comes to the election of board members in the last 2 elections, we could look at it with the same EDI lens. For the in-person voting, we see differences in outcomes ranging from 1% to 32%, and I have to preface this by saying the election results I saw for this year were unofficial, but it looked like, generally speaking, we have outcomes from 1% to 32% for the in-person voting. The outcomes went in favor to people of both parties, and based on the voting age population characteristics of the regions in the district, those outcomes seem reasonable. When you look at the mail-in voting, the disparities are more like 200%, 300%, 400% or higher. And that seems wildly out of proportion with the voting population characteristics of the region of the district. And it's worth noting that those disparities went in one direction in every case that I saw. So people will say, well, there's nothing illegal happening, and I have absolutely no evidence to say anything illegal is happening. But if we were to apply EDI principles, disparities don't have to be caused by illegal actions to be considered unjust. The disproportionate outcomes themselves are the evidence of the systemic injustice. That's just how the principles work. So going forward, as we apply EDI principles in the school, it's easy to opt to apply scrutiny in some circumstances, but not in others. And I'm hoping the new board will choose to look at all issues with the same level of scrutiny. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Fitzgerald, I do want to defer to you for one moment because I do need to clarify one piece of misinformation there, which was around the results of the election being unofficial. Please clarify for the public that we would not be able to move forward.
Oh, sure. The Board of Commissioners certified the election results before this meeting. We received from the county around early afternoon certifications of all the individuals who are sitting here today who were just elected in November. It is the requirement of state law and the public school code that we have those certifications, and we have those.
Thank you very much.
And if I could just clarify,
I'm sorry, sir.
My statement was in reference to when I looked at the data.
Sir, okay.
Please take a seat. Thank
Not claiming
you.
that you did anything.
With that said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion adjourned.